Watch this video, then we'll talk. Do I have a filter on my... I don't know. Watch this video, then we'll talk.
Put a finger down if you spent 1 year saving and planning for a trip to Disney for your entire family for your daughter's 5th birthday. You have the resort booked, the stroller reserved, the shuttles, the meal plan, the lightning lane, all the things, all the Disney things. If you've been to Disney, you know. Spend 1 year doing this. And the night before you leave to go on this trip, your daughter says she doesn't feel so good. And a little bit later, she starts throwing up everywhere. And then a few hours later, you start throwing up everywhere. And you tell yourself it's food poisoning. Because it has to be food poisoning. Because it can't be the stomach virus. So you both stay up all night throwing up everywhere. All while you're supposed to be packing because you're also the type of person that waits until the night before a trip to pack. So you get up the next morning after 0 hours of sleep and you decide to make it to Birmingham, where your flight leaves out of. You're going to make the 2-hour drive to Birmingham and reevaluate the situation when you get to Birmingham. Throw everything in the car, get everybody buckled in, and you hit the road. And the next thing you know, your 7-month-old is throwing up in his car seat. He only does it once. You say, well, he's 7 months old. Maybe it was spit up. And you keep going. You cleaned him up. He's okay. He's fine. Cleaned him up and keep going. Denial. It's called denial. But we're in it deep, okay? You get to Birmingham, get through security, get to your gate, board this plane against your better judgment, okay? You get strapped in, and at this point, your husband's not doing so well, okay? He's not doing so well. And you take off, and your 7-month-old has the most diabolical, ungodly blowout in his diaper that you have ever seen in your entire life. Up the front, up the back, out the sides. It's everywhere, okay? All on your husband, who's actively choking back vomit at this point. You reach into the diaper bag to get the pack of wipes. You pull it out, and there are 2 wipes in this entire diaper bag, and no extra clothes. Because you didn't pack the diaper bag correctly because you were throwing up. You do what you can with the 2 wipes, which is not much, okay? It's not much. You get a blanket, and you wrap everything in the blanket and shove it in the diaper bag. You begin your descent into Orlando. There's 30 minutes left on this plane. You're almost there. And your husband hands you the baby, and he says, I can't take it anymore. He reaches into the seat in front of him and pulls out a motion sickness bag and the rest of the way to Orlando. Filled up 2 of them, okay? And you get off this plane, and you get to Orlando with your husband who looks like he's on his deathbed. You hit him hard and fast, okay? Your husband, he looks like he's on his deathbed. Your 4-year-old who hasn't eaten or slept in 24 hours and was also, by the way, in a pageant the day before. She gets home and gets sick almost immediately. So she still has on makeup from this pageant, and her hair is still done for this pageant. And I don't know what she had on her body. I don't know what clothes she had on. And you're naked, baby, because you didn't have an extra set of clothes in the diaper bag. He had on a diaper, but he's naked. And you have to immediately find a wheelchair because your husband says he's about to pass out. You have to find a wheelchair in this airport, put your husband in it, hand him your naked 7-month-old, and get your little 4-year-old little girl and wheel your entire family through the Orlando airport to baggage claim. To then go get on a shuttle, to wait an hour for a shuttle and ride the shuttle for another hour to get to Disney, to spend a week at Disney.
And this is why COVID ravaged the United States in the way that it has. And this is why COVID is still ravaging the world in the way that it has, but especially the United States in the way that it has. Yes, I will say that the administration has not helped. Yes, I will say that the lack of information has not helped, but also there's a specific sense of individualism of, but what about my time? But what about me? But what about, like, oh, these masks are so uncomfortable, but I want to party. Florida never stopped partying for this exact reason. So when I talk about the importance of community and a community mindset on here, this is exactly what I'm talking about, because the way that she, mind you, that child, that 7-month-old, who knows what that child had? Because she says, oh, well, it couldn't possibly be the stomach virus. It could be so much more. It'd be so much more. Now, all it would take is a couple of phone calls to reschedule this impeccable Disney trip that clearly, it's giving Disney adult levels of obsession. Now, listen, you could be an adult and enjoy Disney, but there's something very terrifying about a Disney adult. But that is besides the point, because the main point of this is that she and her husband have said, oh, well, I really want to do this thing. Now, it sounds like the kids are at the age where they probably will not remember this, but they have decided we are doing this no matter what. Now, she was using a lot of I statements in here. Now, there could be an argument to like, oh, well, like, how, does the husband even know? She was vomiting and the daughter was vomiting for the entire night. I'm pretty sure that he picked up that something was happening. Something was unwell in the house. And then it eventually affected the youngest, the tiniest one. And then it eventually affected the man. And then they were like, oh, but you know what? We, against my better judgment, what judgment? What judgment? She made a decision. Now listen, don't go sending her any hate. She has not, I don't know if her brain hasn't fully finished developing, or if this is just like white exceptionalism to a T, which arguably it's probably that. Regardless, don't go sending her any hate. And now there's an entire plane full of people who have probably gotten sick, and they're going to Florida to go and be amongst Florida and just spread illness everywhere else. So when I say during these incredibly scary times, especially in the United States and other places like it, but I do think that the United States is a case study right now. When I say that community is the way out of this and through this and the only way that people, especially marginalized people, survive, I really want this to be an example that we can all refer back to, because even within the family, the most marginalized people got hit first. And then the people in power said, oh, well, this won't cause an issue long term. I have things that I want to do. Thus, even within the family unit, from what we have just seen, it's giving that the parents are not safe community members because they put the most marginalized at risk for a fun time. Not even just for a fun time, because if it was for a family fun time, it does not make it any better. But it was very specific for the parents wanting to go and do this thing, that the kids will probably they'll be like cute and have like the cute little pictures and they'll enjoy themselves, but they will not remember this. A lot of these like kid vacations that people go on, the kid, they're gonna have cute pictures, but the kid is gonna remember it. It's generally for the parents. And oh my gosh, what a perfect example of how parenting is technically one of the most selfish things that a person can do. Now hear me out. This is not saying that I am judging the parents. My mom has actually said that to me. She's like, Shayna, I recognize that me being a parent was one of the most selfish things that I could have done. And I had to make sure that because this was the thing that I wanted, Shayna, you didn't ask to be here. Shayna, like, life has been hard. I get it. And I really wanted to be a parent. And then you were gifted to me by, now she's very Christian, so she said God. And I'm just like, okay, universe, whatever. I was then brought to her. My brother was then brought to, my younger brother was then brought to her. And she's like, the least that I could do is make sure that I set you guys up for the best life that I possibly could. And I'm like, right, correct. Thank you. She tried her best. Did she do everything perfectly? No, but no parent does. But she did try her best to make sure that me and my brother had the best possible chance at long-term success, which means that she had to put her wants in the back seat. That is the opposite of what these parents, it's not funny. It's not funny. Selfish people cannot be good community members because they will always put their wants and their needs before anyone else's. And that goes for the family unit, that goes for neighborhoods, that goes for larger community members have to think about the community. You have to be community minded in order to be a good community member, in order to be a safe community member, which is why I keep saying on this platform that we need to be take the idea of like finding your own special booga and like all of that. Like, it's nice, it's cute, whatever. Put that to the side. That's not the most important thing right now. The most important thing right now, because of everything that is going on, everything is coming to a head right now. Everything is coming to a head right now in not just the United States. I know people, like I'm living in Thailand right now. There are people that have moved here from Portugal because what's happening in the United States is bubbling up in so many different parts. And so some of the Portuguese people are like, yeah, you know, the rise of fascism, or like the alt-right, more specifically the alt-right in our country, like we had to leave and we wanted to find a safe community that we can be a part of. And I was like, right, listen, the whole like, oh, I want to find my special, it's cute, it's lovely. If it happens, then cool. But that should not be the focus right now. The focus should be on building the skills to be a good community member, because that is how we make it through. And to be a good community member, you have to take into consideration, arguably the first thing in your mind when it comes to the community is how do we protect and support the most vulnerable among us, because you're only as strong as your quote unquote weakest link. I'm not saying marginalized people are the weakest link, but I am saying they are the most vulnerable link. There's too many eyes on these specific links. And yes, that does include children. When you protect the most vulnerable, when you support the most vulnerable, everybody else benefits. If this family protected the most vulnerable members of their community, then literally a plane full of people would not be sick. But they didn't. They were individually minded. They wanted what they wanted to do, and so whatever happens to the most marginalized of their community, who's to say if this kid is going to, if the smallest people, if the most marginalized are going to have long-term effects for not just like being sick for an extended period of time, but also like being in the air, dealing with like air pressure, who knows what other kinds of germs were in that contained space, like, and then having to sit in this and navigate these fluctuations, who knows what kind of long-term things are going on within the most marginalized, within their community, within their family. That does not matter, because I want to go on the lazy river. I haven't seen Mickey in a few years, and he misses me specifically. Now, and this is a slight left turn, but not too far, if men really cared about their male loneliness epidemic, they would also be caring about community. They would also be lifting up the most vulnerable within all of their communities. That could be the male community. That could be who is this? Oh, my mom's texting me. That would be not just within the male community, but that would just be within their community. That would be within their neighborhoods, within their families, because that would help to create relationships where people are seen, people feel protected, people feel supported. But they are not lonely enough. These are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section. Stay safe out there.